Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Good morning. My name is Roman. I'm an alcoholic. First things first, I want to give thanks and praise the Heavenly Father of my understanding for the gift of recovery. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. And I love you. And I'd like to welcome anybody that's new, fairly new, or anybody that may be on the rebound to Alcoholics Anonymous. Welcome home. Welcome home. A shout out to the long-timers who allow us to hold on to their coattails and dresses to teach us how to get through this process one day at a time. Thank you, long-timers, for your guidance. Thank you, Marty, for making a 12-step call on me. Thank you, Edie, Rick, and others for putting this roundup together. I know it takes a lot of hard work. Firsthand, I know that. Thank you so much for your efforts and service. I would imagine the majority of the people in this room this morning are in the service and help prep this roundup. Thank you for all the previous speakers who have inspired me throughout the weekend to help set the tone in which I pray the good Lord will filter through my body, mind, and soul to say what needs to be said today to the newcomer. What it was like, what happened, what it's like today. What am I doing for my recovery today? Let me get the pertinence out of the way. I do have a home group, the Tuesday night beanbag group. That meeting originated out in the city of Azusa 45 plus years ago. We now meet in the city of Glendora. I also have another kind of a home group I tagged the name to, and that would be the San Gabriel Valley Alano Club, the Friday night speaker group, AKA the 502 Club. What? What? Thank you for the love and support. And I have two sponsors, Larry from the Pacoima We Care group, and Hank C. from the Beanbag group, Hank, AKA Hanky Panky. But I have one sobriety day, that's May the 5th, 1986, and for that I'm eternally grateful, one day at a time. So I was born and raised in the quiet little town of Boyle Heights, born to two beautiful human beings that did the best they could with 6 of us, living in a small 3-bedroom home with one facility. So there was always an escapade in that home. My dad was the only one working, and my mom would be found in the kitchen, cooking us a meal, getting our clothing pressed and ready for school. And they saw it be within their means to get us through as much as parochial education as we wanted to attend. As a matter of fact, that's where I met Darth Vader for the very first time. His real name is Sister Kuska. And Sister Kuska was armed with her lightsaber came in the form of a ruler. And she beat the God into you is what she did. And I understood God to be this scary, punishing being. And I would ask my buddy Victor, I said, heck man, was that a venial sin or a mortal sin? He says, I don't know, Roman, I think we're going to go to hell, dude. AA brings us to God, and God brings us to AA, huh? Today we understand God to be a forgiving, loving God. And He loves us all dearly. So I don't remember my first drink. but I remember my first drunk. See, I come from a family that rents halls to get drunk. And they were in places about this big, and the bars lined up. Somebody gets married, buried, divorced, who make up stuff just to have that party, right? But I certainly remember my first drunk. I was about 15 years of age, and we were hanging out at that corner with the winos, drinking white port mixed with pre-sweetened Kool-Aid. Strawberry flavor, shake it up, wine cooler maybe. And that stuff will make you sick. That's my introduction to getting drunk for the very first time. And I remember all the, oh my gods, I'm not going to do this again. And pain has a short memory, doesn't it? It seemed like a week or two later we'd be back at that same corner drinking Thunderbird with a little lime squeeze. Remember that? Muscatel, Silver Satin, Mogan David 2020. My favorite, Pagan Pink Ripple. That was my favorite. I'm a product of the 60s. So in short, I took them pills that put me to sleep. I took them pills that wake me up. I took them pills that trip me out. And I smoked all that wacky tobacco I get my fingers on. But alcohol was my love for the longest time. Booze, baby. That did the trick. It got me downtown right now. I was a Cub Scout. I was a Boy Scout. I was that skinny little kid running around the neighborhood minding my own business. Always a follower, never a leader. And I remember even during the summer times, during those high school ages, I would walk over to my buddy Eddie's house, and as we're drinking out of that Red Mountain jug, and I would ask Eddie, I said, Eddie, I says, are we alcoholic? He says, no, Roman. He says, Kiko, the wino at the corner, he's an alcoholic. I go, oh. He goes, we're baby alcoholics. Oh, okay. So I'm at a high school dance out in the city of Montebello, Sacred Heart of Mary, to be exact. And I was actually headed the other direction to head out to another party, but I missed my ride, so I asked my parents if I can use the family station wagon to go to this dance, see? And I saw her from across the room. And I said, I don't have a chance. But I had that lick of courage, see, everywhere I went. And after a few slugs of that, I built up the energy to walk up to this fine-looking young lady and ask her if she would dance with me. And she did. And I locked eyes with her, and I said, this is the one, baby. She didn't know it then, though. But a short time later, we're standing in front of a judge in a courthouse, and he said something like, and the power invested in me in the state of California, I now pronounce you man and wife. What the heck just happened? Boom, boom, 2 kids right off the bat. Children raising children is what we became. Children raising children. And as I look back in life, I could see my wife doing everything in her power to make this thing work, this thing called marriage. But at 18, 19, 20 years of age, we're just warming up, baby. We're just warming up. And I remember the madness and the craziness. And I remember watching her being very nervous and the kids very scared because they didn't know who was going to come home that night. As I'm getting through that front door, getting the key through the knob at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning and making my announcements like a crazy man. And I remember my wife, as she tells her story, she'll be out in the back, hiding in the weeds with the children. Shh, he'll go to sleep right now. Just let him be. The madness and the craziness. It wasn't all that bad. I was hanging out with you guys, having a good time. Hanging out at them beer joints. That's where you would find me. At them dives, as one would say. So as life goes on, you know, we both unfortunately graduated from high school, and I ended up getting a job at Oscar Mayer and Company out in the city of Vernon. My dad's buddy got me a job as a meat packer, and I'm working that swing shift, and I can't wait for beer 30 as I'm watching that clock. Tick tock, come on, baby. So 11:30, man, we're hitting that clock, man. We're rushing out to the wagon wheel, and we're pounding as much as we can till about 5 minutes to 2 in the morning, and we're getting over to Nino's liquor store. We're loading up, and we're hanging out that parking lot till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, doing it all over again. See, and that's where I start to experience the symptoms of alcoholism. I'm not talking about the textbook information, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen. We know that stuff. I'm talking about the 2 o'clock in the morning escapades. Isn't that when the party starts? I'm talking about those drunk drivings, those blackouts, those wrecking that cars one more time, appearing in front of that judge one more time, flipping out those greenbacks. Just a little setback in life, my wife would talk about. Just a little setback in life. And as I'm going through life, I guess it's about 1972 now, and I'm getting drafted into the United States Army. Now, when you get drafted into the Army, they will select your MOS, unless you tag on some more time, then you can pick and choose what you want to be. But I was in a hurry to get out. I didn't want to go in. I had a wife and kids, don't you understand? I can't leave. But the counselors told me, something good's going to come out of this, Roman. You need to go. And of all things, they made me a military policeman. Can you dig it? So there I am, about 125 pounds soaking wet, with these big old buggy eyes. And you know they give you that gun belt, and they put everything in there but the kitchen sink. And then on top of that, they give you this big old belly club and this big old pistol. And I'm trying to, get it together, and I'm going to arrest you, It's like the Barney Five of East LA, I think. Lord. I don't have enough time to tell you about those stories, but I'll be more than happy to tell you some stories on the parking lot after the meeting. And I used to say, don't know how I got through that trek. But see, the understanding and the learning that we get here, I understand today how he gets us through those treks. See, God has these angels floating about us, watching over each and one of us, because he really loves us, and he really wants us to have this thing called sobriety. And I know that's true to be. So I get back at Oscar Mayer and Company, and I'm packing Bologna, and somebody's telling me that they're going to go to school. And I said, really? And he says, yeah, I got VA benefits. I said, hey, I just got out of the Army too. I think I got some of those things. He goes, well, you should go to school. And right about that time, my brother-in-law was dragging about 3 or 4 of us into LA Trade Tech to learn the trade of heating and air conditioning mechanics, So I'm off at LA Trade Tech in 1977. My first semester there in 1977, I get struck down with hepatitis. I'm spending a week at Rancho Los Amigos Hospital in the liver ward at a tender age. And I remember the doctors asking me things like, Roman, would you like to live? What kind of silly question is that? He says, you need to stop drinking, dude. You're going to die. Well, that lasted for about 6 months. And I was smoking that wacky tobacco, and that stuff will make you thirsty, don't you know? So one led thing to another, and I'm off and running again. And I got through that trek, and I know and understand how the good Lord and his floating angels about us get us through these things, see? And I meet this guy, Steve Wagner, and he gets a job over at Lockheed. And he gives me the good news about Lockheed hiring, Lockheed Aeronautical Systems out in Burbank, California. So he pulled me in. There's a reason why I meet these people, I guess, and I understand. So I'm working at Lockheed Aeronautical Systems. I'm a heating and air conditioning mechanic. And the following year, in 1980, I meet this guy, Larry, Or should I say Larry meets me? See, and he was talking to me really, really funny. He was saying stuff like, easy does it. This too shall pass. There's another way to live without drinking and using one day at a time, see? And I said, Larry, I'm not sure what you're trying to tell me. He said, but I think you need to talk to Steve Wagner, man. He's got the problem, see? In 1982, I'm at a function at Cal State University of Los Angeles. My little brother is working there, and he's at the EOPS program, some of the bridge student programs or what have you. And I believe they were having some beer bash of some sort, and I went because they were serving free brews, of course. And I'm in a blackout again, and I'm on my way home on the freeway, and those cherry red lights come on. Oh, shoot, here it goes. So I pull over, 2 highway patrolmen, one of them's running my plates, and the other one's approaching me and commence to ask questions. Where are you coming from, young man? I says, I'm coming from a Cal State function. He goes, well, that's cute. He says, you been drinking tonight? The definitive answer, just a couple. Where are you headed? Home. Where is home? Azusa, California at the time. Oh, okay. He goes, so what off-ramp do you utilize to get to your home in Azusa? Duh, Azusa Avenue. You passed that 5 miles ago. Now the trick questions. What freeway are you on? The 10? Are you sure? The 60? The 60? Get out of the car! That was on my wife's birthday, 9 months pregnant with our 3rd child. Happy birthday. In 1984, I'm at J Chase, my favorite watering hole on Azusa. And I think it's a Saturday night, and I'm guessing it's about 10 o'clock in the evening. And I slip into another alcoholic blackout. How do I know this? Last thing I remember was I was sitting on the bar, having a drinking poo. And next thing that comes into play is I'm on the freeway in the Ball Heights area. See, because I was the type of person that I wanted to know who had the jug, where was the party, what's next? I couldn't sit still. I think it's that ADD stuff, I'm not sure. But I'm snapping out of this blackout, and I said, my gosh, where am I? Oh yeah, that's right, I'm going to Eddie's house. Oh shoot, there's my transaction. The freeway I gotta take. I'm gonna miss it. So yeah, then that's what went through my pea-head brain. See, my alcoholic brain thinking was, hey, not a problem, dude. Just go over to the next exit, make your U-turn, and get back to your destination. But the alcoholic brain's telling me, you can make it, dude. You can make it. Bam! Right into that freeway railing. Car smashed up, looking like a cartoon, steam coming out of the radiator. I'm a bloody mess. What's the first thing we do when we wreck our cars? Try to get the heck out of there. Run, man. The car's not going anywhere. So what's the second best thing that we do? We jump out in the middle of the freeway, start waving to the people. Somebody help me, like a crazy lunatic that you are. And it seemed like only moments later would the paramedics show up and wiping me down and telling me they're going to take me across the street to the LA County General Hospital. And I'm pleading with these gentlemen. I says, my car, I can't leave my car here. We wreck cars all the time, don't we? What I was concerned about was what I had stashed in the trunk of the car ready for sale. They cajole me to get in back of that ambulance. I'm over at the LA County General Hospital for a few hours, I would imagine. And they let me go. They released me. Now think about that, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, about the times we got to the next destination. We made it, huh? Opposed to the times we almost made it, which is usually about a block or two away from our destination. So I'm standing on the corner of State and Marengo Streets, for the ones who know the area, and the first thing that catches my attention are those 2 fine gentlemen across the street drinking out of their jug wrapped up in that paper sack, see? So I approached them and I asked them, would you mind sharing that bottle with me? And there I am, one more time, drinking in the corner with the winos, hollering at the moon. And when it was all said and done, I would walk over to the nearest phone booth and call up my brother Hector, who may have been the greatest codependent, enabler, or maybe just being a brother. And it didn't matter where I was at or what time it was, he would always come out to get me. Had to hear it all the way home. When's it going to stop, Roman? When's it going to end? I did not know I had a problem with drinking. Hanging out with you guys, having fun, see? I woke up early February of 1984 with that mean wine hangover one more time, wondering if I had a problem, see? And you hear the chatter. You know that chatter. It's your grandma's, it's your mama's, it's your significant others. Why do you drink that way? Why do you act that way? What's wrong with you? It was the last time I got drunk, early February 1984. Now you just recently heard of my sobriety date. And what happened for me is generally read in chapter 3, more about alcoholism, to switching from one to another. And when I put that bottle down, I picked up that needle up, and that became my alcohol at the end of that needle, see? And it wasn't like one day I asked myself, gee, I think I'll try some of this stuff. I had been doing that for 13 years off and on in my life. And it was a big family secret. My wife had no idea. There was so much drunkenness and parties going on that we just didn't know what the heck was going on. Who was doing what? And one thing led to another, and it's May 13th of 1985, and I see my family physician about this little problem that I had. And he says, son, I think I would like you to get over to Pacific Health Systems in Long Beach, California. I said, Long Beach? Why Long Beach? We have so many community facilities in our area. This man had some gray hair, like Link. It meant wisdom, right? A lot of wisdom. And the more he talked, the more sense he made to me. And I says, maybe this guy has something going on here. But I did have to ask him, how long do I have to go to this hospital? He lied to me. He said 3 days. I get over to Memorial Hospital, and all I can think about is colored TV, hot food, good-looking nurses, and you're going to take care of me one more time. Oh, Sonny, you got the wrong facility. You want that annex across the street. And I'm walking into this annex across the street and wondering, what the heck is this? And as that's going through my body, mind, and soul, you guys are running up to me and wanting to shake my hand and hug me and welcome me to 12 steps of recovery. And I'm walking in there with a behavioral problem. It's called alcoholism. But I'm also walking in there with an attitude problem. And we know what that's called. And I got this shirt buttoned up all the way to the top, and I got my hair slicked straight back, and I got them really dark shades, and I'm walking in there saying something like, orale. Over this way, dummy, come on. Don't get it. Sometimes don't get it. And my roommate, I can remember his last name, and I can't remember his first name, so what the heck? His last name was Moore. And he says, so Roman, how long are you going to be with us? And I said, I'm going to be here for 3 days. He had all you guys cracking up at me, see. He says, detox is a whole week, dude. You got to detox you for a week, and then you're going to have 21 more days of rehab. I said, no, not me, dude. My doctor says 3 days. I got to get back to work, get home, pay the bills as such. 7 days later, you guys are all cracking up at me, and now you're talking to me about this 21 days of rehab. And I was offered a daycare program. What does that mean? Mr. Carlos, you get to come in at 9 in the morning and leave at 4 in the afternoon. I like that. But if you know, being an alcoholic, by the end of that trek, I walked away with maybe 6 days of not drinking and using. I can't call it sobriety. Oh, I worked my first, second, third step in there. You guys came in with your H&I panels, and they put us in that white van and got us to outside meetings. We did all that stuff. But it might have been my first moment of clarity, don't you understand? And they told me, get a sponsor, get a home group, go to 3 meetings a week. That's how they suggested, 3 meetings a week. And get a sobriety date, that's a good thing. So then I started thinking about this guy, Larry. I said, you guys all talk the same, the language of the heart. I couldn't wait to get back to Larry and ask him, Larry, are you a summer member of a 12-step group? And if so, will you sponsor me? See, Larry back in 1980 had 9 years clean and sober in a program called Alcoholics Anonymous. By the time I met up with him to ask him to sponsor me, he then now had 14 years. And he took me for that famous walk. Come on, kid. And he got my nose into the book. And we started to study the textbook, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. See? And you guys warned me. You said, Roman, don't think and don't drink no matter what. And I started to think. I don't want to drink anymore. I certainly don't want to do that other stuff anymore. Well, what's wrong with smoking a little weed here and there, huh? What does the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous tell us? That all defenses will be broken down, see? And one thing led to another. And it's April the 29th of 1986. And I find myself at a place called Treatment Centers of America. Doesn't that sound nice? Out in Panorama City. And as I'm standing in my room with my hands in my pocket and my head down to my chest, my chin down to my chest, the thoughts are and the emotions are shame and disgust. That's what the emotion was, shame and disgust. When out of my pocket came out a little baggie of weed. So what do I do with this weed? Huh? Do I flush it down the toilet? Do I turn it into the counselors? You know that little exhaust fan in your bathroom? I was smoking that stuff for 6 days, showing up to group. And I woke up, it was May the 5th of 1986. And I remember calling my brother, who might have been a codependent and enabler, or maybe just being a brother. See, this guy brought me anything I wanted for me to get loaded on when I was at Rancho Los Amigos Hospital back in 1977. He would pick me up at any street corner, any hour of the night or morning. But that day he said, I'm done. Click. It's okay. We have Plan B. Plan B is Steve Wagner. Lives in Burbank, about 20 minutes to Panorama City. Hey, Steve, this is Roman, man. This is where I'm at. Bring me something, dude. I need to get loaded right now. Steve said, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Sucker never showed up. So lo and behold, my sobriety date is May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Órale. Whatever. God has a sense of humor, huh? He picks our date. Oh, God, Lord have mercy. Where am I? Okay, so that year, that previous year, we were selling a house out in Azusa. We wanted to move away. And I remember picking carpet and tile and stuff, and my wife had no idea how sick I was. And I remember when I was in that treatment facility the second time around, I remember two things. One, I remember my dad coming up to see me. And he said something like, well, what makes you think it's going to work this time? That thumb went right to the chest, because I'm going to do it. I had no clue. No clue. Confused, just did not understand what the heck was going on here. Done, zero. And I remember my wife coming up to see me. And I remember started crying like a little baby. Get me home. I want to get out of here. I just want to be okay. I just want to come home. And she locked eyes with me and she said something like, well, what makes you think I want you back? The house is up for sale and she's ready to make a break, for crying out loud. So from there I went to a sober living in Burbank, and then went to another sober living in Silmar, and eventually made my way back home, see. Had to sleep in the living room for 4, 5, 6 months, but I was home. Building up that trust one day at a time. Because our family members are very nervous. They're still very nervous and scared. They don't know. They just don't understand as much as we don't understand, see? And I remember my 1 year sobriety. My sponsor, Larry, from the Pacoima We Care group, says, Roman, you're going to be the main speaker at the Pacoima We Care group on Tuesday night. I said, Larry, I'm 365 days clean and sober. I have nothing to give. I'm still learning. He says, somebody's going to be there with 30 days clean and sober. So you tell them how you got that 1 year. I took my little sister with me. I was already dragging my dad with me all over the place. So now I'm dragging my sister with me all over the place. And after my talk, she says, Roman, you said you know 145 times. We learn how to talk in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know. My poor dad, and it's because I heard it here, and I heard it from Ted the other day. Ted and I were talking, and I understand his dad's sober, and I know there's a lot of family members that are sober, you know, parents and children and spouses, and I wanted that for my pops. I wanted father and son in AA, see? Because I'm finding this stuff to be real. And I wanted to take my dad anywhere with me to any AA function or meeting so he can maybe get some of this. And I remember Larry and his brother Louie, they were doing a panel at the Old Drifters down in Skid Row, Los Angeles, and they invited me. So I picked up my pops. Had to stop at a liquor store and get him one, but I wanted to get him to the meeting, see? And as I'm sitting down in the audience, Larry comes up, he goes, no, you're going to sit up at the table up here. You're going to be part of the panel. I had no idea what's going on. I might have shared for 3 or 4 minutes at that. And at the end of the meeting, this wino came up to me and was shaking my hand, thanking me, see? And my dad came up to me and he says, who is that dude? I said, I have no idea, man. But see, now I'm learning to give it away to keep it. And that's what you're teaching me, see? That's what you're teaching me. In my second year of sobriety, it's a phenomenon in Alcoholics Anonymous. I wanted to go back to school to become a drug and alcohol counselor. And I was strolling to the campus of Cal State University, Los Angeles, because that's what I know. And I run into my buddy, Duty, God rest his soul. Nothing happens by mistake. And Duty says, Roman, what are you doing on campus? I said, Duty, I'm going to be a drug and alcohol counselor, man. He says, that's a 60-unit certification. You need to get a degree. I said, Duty, I'm 36 years old, man. I can't compete with them youngsters. Hector says you go to that A&A stuff. Don't they do that stuff one day at a time? You go to the health science building, see Dr. So-and-so, and you do this bachelor's program one day at a time. It'll open up more doors for you. I got lost, ended up in the counseling and education department. I met a gentleman of Dr. Martin Broadwin, a.k.a. Marty. Everybody knows Marty at Cal State LA in the counseling and education rehab program. And I'm walking up to this board, and I'm reading this information outside his office door, and I'm kind of peeking in, and he's kind of peeking out, and finally he come on, he goes, sir, can I help you? And I says, yeah, I want to be a drug and alcohol counselor. He goes, come on in, have a seat. After 5 minutes, we're what? Best friends, right? Marty's agnostic. Or maybe he's atheist, I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him again. But he has no belief in God, see? But God knows where to put us, see? And he says, I can help you with the bachelor's degree in rehabilitation counseling. That'll not only give you the opportunity to be a drug and alcohol counselor, but it'll give you other opportunities to do other things in life. And I said, okay, so he got me started. That was back in 1988. That was his first year of professing at that university. God makes no mistakes, see. We're best friends today. We meet every 3 months for lunch. Every 3 months for lunch we meet, and Marty and I have a wonderful time talking about life with one another, our children and what have you. But, Lord have mercy, that was 1988. And so I'm getting started on this trek on my educational means. And in 1990, I'm at the Friday Night 502 Club speaker meeting. And I can't remember if it was the Lakers or the Dodgers. Somebody was in the playoffs, and I couldn't wait for break time, because I wanted to run out to the lobby. They got a big TV out there. I wanted to check out the score. So as I'm walking out, this guy Victor I was talking about is walking in. Now, Victor and I did 8 years at Santa Isabel, 1 year at Salesian High School, 3 years at Roosevelt High School, and about 1/8 of a semester at East LA Junior College. And that's about the time I was getting married and raising children. or kind of raising children. And he went off into the Air Force, military. And we lost contact for 20 years. 20 years later, I'm running into this guy in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. That's a God shot, see? That's what we call a God shot with newcomers. And, hey, Victor, hey, how's it going? And I said, come on in, I'll introduce you to some people. And he goes, you're not a big book thumper, are you? I go, oh, no. You know, I don't want to scare the dude, you know? Victor is sober, clean and sober, 25 years today. And we have a lot of fun together. We have a lot of good times together. We run around with the same packs and what have you. In 1991, I have a son who's dual diagnosed. He's alcoholic, drug addict, and gangbanger. So when that rockabout that big came in through our front window, I said, time out, that's it, you got to go. And he gave me the old sign, and he mumbled some words and cried to Mama, oh, how can you let him do this to me? Got us into counseling for a little bit, and he went from sugar shack to sugar shack to sugar shack to sugar shack. And for the next approximately 4 years, I didn't know where this kid was at. Let me tell you about a parent's nightmare. Let me tell you about prayer, and let me tell you about the parent's hope, and let me tell you about prayer. Every morning, I'd pick up that newspaper wondering if my kid was going to make the front page. They're so scared and nervous for us, and they pray for us so wholeheartedly. Prayer gets us in the door, see? Gets us through the door in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. In 1992, my dad's drinking is becoming worse, and we do an intervention on him, and he's detoxing at Charter Oak Hospital and out in city of Covina, and he's doing his little program out in New Beginnings in the city of Lakewood. And about 120 days later, the family decides to take him to Las Vegas for a family function. You don't take a newcomer to Las Vegas. They serve free booze there. In 1994, the day I was to march that track with cap and gown conferring to the bachelor's degree was the day we buried my dad, who died from alcoholism. And there isn't a day that goes by I don't think about him. And I pray to him and our friends in heaven to please watch over us. $1995, the phone call. This is Jesse. This is where I'm at. I need to see and talk to somebody I love. Now that guy was good. He had 3 enablers. He had his mother, his grandmother, and his aunt. And they wanted to run out to his rescue one more time with that Bank of America visa in their hand, because we're going to get best lawyers, don't you understand? We're going to get you out of this again. And I know where it comes from. I said, let me go talk to him. And I didn't spend no more than 5 minutes talking to Jesse across that window about that thick on the black telephone. And I was able to share 2 things you guys are teaching me. And that is, Jesse, there's hope for people like you and me. Go back to your cell, drop to your knees, and surrender to win. Jesse is clean and sober 21 years. And Jesse and God answers prayer, see? Father and Son in Alcoholics Anonymous. And we sit in the front row on a Friday night, side by side. And we go to the same home group every Tuesday night, amongst other meetings and functions and panels and the drill. We do the drill, see? Oh, Lord, he's a crack up. He's a great speaker. I hope you guys line him up one day. He's a really good speaker, but don't believe a thing he says, okay? I put my kids through hell, man. I put them through hell. I'm so sorry. I didn't know of the impact. I really didn't. Let me tell you how Hanky Panky came into my life. When I was signing up for that educational program out at Cal State. I walked in the beanbag at my home group, and you know how you guys are. Hey, Roman, how's it going? You know, and I'm like, yeah. What's going on? I says, I got to go to this hearing. My company found out of the wreckage of my past and trying to evoke my privileges of getting into these areas that are highly secured by government. I says, I got a kid jump into a gang, and I got another kid coming out of the closet, and I want to go back to school to be a drug and alcohol counselor, see? And he says, well, have you talked to Larry about this? I says, Larry's kid's boxing, right? And now he's boxing professionally, see? And he's making the big top. He's real busy with the boxing thing. And I know he's a great man of church. And I know he's doing his Alcoholics Anonymous. Plus, he's living out in Pacoima. And I'm out here in San Dimas. And he says, well, maybe you should get a sponsor in your community. And I said, okay, how about you? And that's how Hank came into my life, see? And I honor and love them both. I got the San Fernando Valley covered, and I got the San Gabriel Valley covered. See, I ain't taking no chances with this disease. My oldest son, Roman John, we call him RJ. He made his announcement probably at the age of 17, 18, I'm guessing. And I was the last one to find out, of course, about his sexual preference, his being. And my ignorance told me, we'll get the best doctors, it's just something you're going through, don't worry. You know, it's stupid, man, stupid. And we have such a love affair today, my son and I. At his 40th birthday, he's a DJ at this little lizard lounge out in Chinatown, downtown Los Angeles. He likes to play music, and he invited us over to his 40th. And so, you know, my wife's having a craft beer. I guess that's what they drink now, craft beers. And I'm having my little soda pop, and I'm watching all these people come up to him and just love on him. And then shortly after that, they walked up to us to tell us what a beautiful human being he is and how much they love him. You just don't know. One just doesn't know. I talked about Jesse. Jesse's a crack-up man. He has a great sense of humor, Jesse, for the ones who know him. And now we have my daughter, Lindsay. My wife was pregnant with Lindsay in my last drunk driving incident. And my second chance in life, my sober baby. Hey, Daddy, going to those A&A meetings again? Yes, honey, one of the AA meetings again. Lindsay presently lives out in the city of Huntington Beach with her beautiful husband, Jaime. Born in Chile, raised in Huntington Beach. How does that work? But anyways, 5-year-old Sophia and 3-year-old Diego. Oh, man. I'm in trouble now. And she's a teacher. She's taking time off to spend time with her children and working on her master's. And Jesse has blessed us with 3 grandchildren, and his wife came into the relationship with 2 others. But I got to tell you about what happened back in 1994. Excuse me. Cal State found out about my death of my dad, and they knew I couldn't make the general population ceremony, but they invited me to the private ceremony on a Friday night. And I got a call from one of the professors, says, Roman, we're having a private ceremony for the department. We want you to come. We heard about your dad. I'm really sorry about that, but we want you to come and at least participate in some sort of a presentation. So I went. And when I showed up with my wife and children with my cap and gown, they were presenting me with the Student of the Year award, the only person in the whole department, see? And that's the power and might of God in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's not about this, not at all. It's about that. It's about this. And then Marty came up to me and says, Roman, I got your letter. I said, what letter? He says, you've been also selected for the master's degree program in rehabilitation counseling. I said, you got to be kidding. But let it be known, in the year of 1997, in the month of June, I got to march that track, conferring to a master's degree with a cap, gown, and hood, see? And that's the power and might of God in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm not a drug and alcohol counselor. God knows better. I did it for about 7 months, and 7 months was enough. I'm currently employed by the state of California. I work with the Department of Rehabilitation. I work with individuals that suffer from mental or physical disabilities. It's a return to work program. And now, because of the WIOA program, we are now working with high school kids and getting them prepped. How cool is that? That's where he wants me, see. The good news is that a lot of my clients are recovering addicts and alcoholics, because you are crazy, baby. What a blessing. Oh, so much going on. Oh, Lord have mercy. In 2000, there's so much stuff that's going on. In 1990, I think I experienced our first international AA convention up in Seattle, and we had dinner up at the Space Needle on the 4th of July. How cool is that? 1995, we were in San Diego, where I got to finally meet my Larry sponsor, my grand sponsor, Don Pilar, Don the Russian, I guess his nickname was. And of course, we have all the Waterfront Mac. Waterfront Mac was a wonderful grand sponsor, and then you have the long-timers, in the room. And gosh, I get myself in trouble each and every time calling out names. But what the heck? Red Fred, I love you. I love you, Red Fred. I love you so, so much. From my home group out in Covina, Donna, Ted, Fran raised me in Pacoima. She sure did. Go all the way back, but you guys are just absolutely beautiful. In 1999, I was re-diagnosed with hepatitis. This time they put a letter to it, hepatitis C. And they tried that interferon on me, and it didn't work, and put me in the hospital a couple times. And now they come up with this new stuff called Harvoni, which insurance won't cover for some of us. But they offered me a Vicura pack, and I was able to be treated and cleared of that. So thank you, Lord, for that blessing. Thank you, Lord, for that blessing. Excuse me. 2000, where were we at? Minnesota. 2005, Canada. We got to venture out to Niagara Falls. 2010. Let me take you to 2010. Steve Wagner. Steve Wagner left California. He moved back to Texas. He was living out in Austin, a little suburb called Lago. And I told him that we were going to, I gave him a call and told him we were going to be out in San Antonio for the international convention. And we picked I think it was a Denny's restaurant. It was a particular day and a time that we were going to meet. He drove down for Austin. As I'm walking up the sidewalk, I'm bumping into Louie, Larry's brother Louie. And I say, hey, Louie, what's going on, man? He goes, oh, I'm having lunch in there with Larry. My sponsor was in that restaurant. That's called a God shot, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Wagner, myself, and Larry worked together at Lockheed, see? And it was kind of a reunion, and it was kind of like closure for all of us to have that moment. What a beautiful thing. And I'll tell you something, when I saw Steve hobbling up that sidewalk, it made me cry, man. Because you don't know how many times I would send him off literature and give him those phone calls and 12-step him from miles and miles away. He just couldn't get it. He just couldn't get it. But God gave us the opportunity to meet at that particular time. And that was in 2010. In 2015, we did the international in Atlanta. We took a trip to New York. My wife and I have been involved in Southern California AA convention work for the past 25 plus years. I was your trusted servant in 2004. Jesse was your trusted servant last year. How cool is that? Service is the name of the game around here. But let me end with this, because I know we're getting close to the end here, and we need to get home to our families and be with our loved ones. That's really, really important for us. In 2014, my sister was diagnosed with brain cancer. But by this time now, there's 7 of us. My little brother and I are 18 years apart. But my sister Rachel, at 57 years of age, was diagnosed with brain cancer in the fall of 2014. In the spring of 2015, we lost her. And matter of fact, she was buried on her 60th birthday. So I want you to think about your loved ones out there that are sick, not just with this disease called alcoholism, but with illness, physical and or mental, or sometimes both. Think about them as we pray for them wholeheartedly and how we want them to just be well, just for one more day, if I may. That same year, Jesse, again, has blessed us with some grandchildren. I'll get to that story. Cindy, my daughter-in-law, she came in with 2 children into the relationship. Bobby is now 30 years of age, and he's hanging out one of the sober livings in the city of Covina. God bless him, you know. God bless him. He's a newcomer. And Mitz gave birth to her first child, so I guess that makes me a great-grandfather. I don't know. And then Jesse's 3 boys, Jesse Jr., Joshy, and Joey. And I'll close with this little story. In December of 2015, I got that knock on my door. Just a few days short of Christmas time. 2 of my grandchildren were homeless because my son found it necessary to give them the boot, see, because they weren't living right in his eyes or maybe under his roof. And they came knocking on the door a few days before Christmas and asked if they can live with us. Scrawny, skinny, dirty. And we cleaned them up and we washed them up and we gave them love. We gave them all the love that we draw from here to these 2 beautiful children, see. And Jesse is now renting an apartment out in the city of Pomona with his friends, and he's working to make a living. He likes that medical marijuana, but what the heck, you know. Maybe he'll get here one day, maybe he won't. Joshie came home from school, I guess it was on May the 5th, on 2016. I remember the day perfectly well. Celebrating my 30th that day. And he was just out of it. I said, Josh, what is going on? I don't want to talk right now, Grandpa. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone, Grandpa. I don't want to talk about it. We'll talk about it in the morning. Friday morning comes around. I said, Josh, there's 2 things you got to do. You either go to rehab or you got to leave. Started dialing the number. I says, who are you calling? So I'm calling Chase. He was at Life Bible College across the street from where we live. I says, Chase is going home for the summer tonight. Exactly, Grandpa. I'm going to hitch a ride to Nana's house, who happens to be a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. That's Cindy's mom. So he took off, and my sponsor got invited to speak down in Palm Springs. I went down there with him, and Joshie was there, and Bertha was there, and it's awkward for everybody. And Joshie kind of leaned over to me and says, Grandpa, he says, I'm getting sober. And I find it very awkward and very confusing. I says, I understand, mijo. I said, but it'll get better. I go, what's your sobriety date? May the 5th. I can't say enough about this beautiful woman sitting in the front row, my wife, Myra, who for some godly reason did not walk away. And her mama, Esperanza, in English means hope, told her those very words. You don't leave that man. There's hope for him. You stay home and watch those kids, and one day he'll come around. Myra and I have been married 45 years, man. 45 years, that's crazy. Who does that? It's just the 2 of us and our 2 little kitty cats at home. I chase her around the house once in a while, and every once in a while she lets me catch her. It's not perfect, but it's good. It's not perfect, but it's healthy. It's not perfect, but it's godly. And she's not one of us. She did Al-Anon for a little time, but it just wasn't her cup of tea. So I'm learning to back off and allow her space and dignity of how she connects with the God of her understanding, see? And that's pretty tricky, but it works. And next month we'll be back down to Cabo, because God is good. So much to say in such little time. Again, I want to thank the people of Ventura County. You are the bomb. You are the bomb. You guys have fantastic A&A here in Ventura / Oxnard. Orale. So, long timers, we love you so much. Can I see the hands of the newcomers, please? Can I see the hands of the newcomers in the room tonight, this morning, this afternoon? God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. And remember this, if you're sitting in this chair confused and just not understanding what the heck's going on with your life, we want you to know that we all understand, we all think we know how you feel. But more importantly, we all feel we know how you think. And with the graces of God and a program of Alcoholics Anonymous, we can do this one day at a time. Thank you. God bless you. I truly love you all.
Thank you. Come here. I love you, man. Awesome job.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.